tip of my tongue.
I got that. I want a name that goes with
All right,
that.
everybody. Finance, yes, please.
Finance Committee meeting for April 7th, 2025. Councilor Smith,
Here.
Waltney,
Yeah, here.
Allemond, Brandt, here, Harden.
I don't know about Mr. Alamon, but Mr. Harden was under the feeling not so great, so thank you to Mr. Gwaltney and Mr. Brandt for bringing in the quorum tonight. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes that were sent to us and approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, all right, motion to approve the minutes from Mr. Brandt, second from Mr. Gwaltney. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's 3-0 to approve those. And before we get into our old business agenda and our new business agenda, I'm going to ask Mr. Smith to come talk to us because we had a. Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah. Oh, there we go. We had a creek wall failure during the storm, so.
Yeah, scroll down a little, Brian. This was yesterday. The creek wall didn't fall into the creek, but it pushed out. And this is at 711 Broadway, and then some damage at 709 Broadway. The entire backyard just sort of
Collapse.
shoved into the creek, right?
Wow.
So I'll be coming to council on Monday night for an emergency repair. I got a cost estimate from a contractor who went out and met with the homeowners yesterday, right after it had happened. And then we met again out there this morning, and it's probably gonna be around $110,000. But I'll get all the contracts and all that stuff locked in, and then I'll bring it to you guys, and other new business on Monday night.
Can I ask a question since that is so close to that swimming pool? Is there any damage to that structure?
There wasn't any damage to the swimming pool.
Okay.
Yep. There were some power line issues also. I mean, you can see the pole
Yeah.
leaning toward the house.
Yeah.
Alabama Power was out there this morning, and so they figured out a way to temporarily shore up the pole
Okay.
until we can get in and fix the wall.
And it was 2 houses, 2 yards?
709 and 711 Broadway.
All right. So there's really not an action to be taken on this one. We just need to know that this will be coming to us
That's right.
on Monday night on the other new business agenda. So just so everybody would be aware of that when it shows up.
Be the devil's advocate on that, because that's what you guys pay me to do is, I know we've done this in the past, but normally, usually, almost always, if you live on the water anywhere, the erosion is kind of your concern. And so I'm not saying you need to not do this, I'm just telling you that, you know, where I live on a lake, the expectation is if that wall falls in, I replace the wall. And what we're assuming by doing this is if there's risk to the pool, for example, we may be responsible for the damage to the pool. And keep that in mind as we start looking into the future. We can easily say our policy is to repair this because we think the community deserves to have the water flow through this area. But in a lot of cities, they put out that you assume the risk because you chose to buy a house that's on the water. And so it's an understanding that this is a big encumbrance. And you all need to make that decision knowing that we're continuing the precedent that's already been done.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to say, no, don't do it. What I'm trying to do is making sure we're all on the same sheet of music as we're saying yes to it.
Okay. Can I always like to look to that side of the ring.
We have an obligation.
Okay, we do have a legal
We don't have
obligation.
a lake, and we don't have agrarian rights. We have property rights, and this is a waterway that's our responsibility.
Okay, so we have a legal responsibility against the
Yes.
law. Thank you. All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. Okay, like I said, no action to be taken, just information. Oh, sure.
And I just wanted to
Sure.
say, if any questions, let's get those answered, so Monday night we can take care of them.
Yes, does anybody have any questions about
Any
this?
questions,
Yeah.
let us know. Thanks.
Pictures are worth 1,000 words in this particular case. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Smith. We appreciate you and the information. And we'll look forward to seeing that on hearing from you on Monday night. Okay, our old business agenda is 020225, and that is a request permission to update on the Kenilworth Stormwater Project. Currently, Kenilworth is shut down.
It is.
How many times have I driven to the edge, to the end of my street to like I'm turning down Kenilworth and I can't, and I have to go around Laurel?
Yeah.
95
But
times.
you do. I think
I
you've done
did.
a good
I knew.
job of getting the word out.
Yes, we did.
It will be shut down for one more week, assuming they have good weather. They can finish up what they need to do and then it'll be back.
Well, has this weather caused them to slow down? Just
It has, but since they're working in the street and not in the yards, they've been able to accomplish some things.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll know more tomorrow and Wednesday, and if there is a delay in
You can
opening
let us
back
know.
up the road, we'll get the word out.
Okay, because I did. I sent it out everywhere, but every single time I leave my driveway, I just automatically go that direction, like a crazy person.
Autopilot,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith, for that update. All right, new business, 110325, request to authorize the city manager to sign a contract with Civic Plus for ordinance publications, our Muni Code. This is coming to us from Mr. Segrist, our city clerk. And why don't you take this away? We have some information. Did everybody get this?
I sent it to the finance committee.
Okay,
as
everybody
well.
on the finance committee should have gotten this, and explain the reasoning behind this one.
So, Civic Plus, this is what we use to do our codification of, when we pass ordinances. It's the way to get them published and put on the website so that, anybody that's coming to do business within our city, they have a list of kind of the expectations. During the transition of, taking over, this kind of slipped through the cracks, my fault. And, when I went to Civic Plus and approached them about doing, submission of documents, it was done by page in the past, and that can get quite costly over just a few ordinances. One of the quotes I got for just for 3 ordinances to be posted, it was going to be around $800 and something. And so I reached out to them and asked them if there was some kind of flat rate that we could pay and come in, and no matter how much we underutilize or overutilize, it stays the same. And they agreed to that. And so the first year, it will be $2,475, and then the next year it'll be $3,300, and this will be coming out of the municipal code and codification account. It will not be out of contractual services. That was my fault.
Okay.
I didn't, as I dove in further into the account,
Realize that there was an actual
there is
line
an
item.
actual account for this.
Okay, awesome. And Mr. Kendrick, just for my curiosity, about how many ordinances do we typically pass in a year? A lot.
We passed 2 zoning ordinances, it's over 200 pages, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about this is a much more cost-efficient way of doing.
So they do it monthly, yearly, quarterly?
My plan is to do it quarterly, unless we have like, if there's something pressing, if we have something big or something that we need to get out there
Like a
immediately,
zoning ordinance or something.
then I can make arrangements to have that done.
Okay.
We do have it on the website too.
Yeah.
Unicode just lets you go past 2020, but since 2020 we also have them, so they're in dual places.
Okay.
Counselor Smith,
Yes.
I'm not on the committee, but just a question. Why so much for year 2 compared to year 1? Because it's not like we're paying them extra for storage.
They discounted the first year. They're not charging us like the annual fee.
Oh, it's a
Because it's
prorated.
not going to be, it's going to be
Gotcha. I'm sorry, I
prorated,
missed
yeah,
that.
because
Thank
it's not
you.
going to be the full
Okay.
year, so they're
All
not
right.
charging us for the full year. Yeah, that's the explanation on that one.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else questions? So this is going to be to allow Mr. Adams to sign the contract with Civic Plus to provide this service.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, motion for Mr. Brandt, second for Mr. Gwaltney, and I'm just going to keep saying that.
Okay.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 3-0. And I don't think I said that the previous one, 020225, we're just going to continue to carry over until that project is completed.
That's fine.
I didn't say that. All right, so 3-0 to approve 110325. All right, 120325, a request for consideration of a fire station design charrette, funding through bond money coming to us from our new city manager and Mr. Adams. And I know Mr. Smith is going to weigh in on this one as well, so take it away.
Hopefully I get it accurate enough that he doesn't have to weigh in. But, so the thing that we need to keep in mind is we have bond money out there. Right now we have approximately $3 million set aside to the divergent diving plan and concept, but that doesn't look like it's going to move forward. We need to show that we're trying to do right by the bond money because we don't want it to be in a situation where they start charging us interest or cause us to have penalties for not spending that money. So right now we have about $3 million that you guys have seen and 4 items that you guys have allocated $515,000 to out of $4 million worth of bond money. And so we have money for doing a design charrette, which I've used my English from the Army time, where you have to create a concept and brief Congress. My bad, the translation is actually having an engineer design created, and we have a contract format that gives, if the project costs $10 million, then 6% would be $600,000 for that design to be created. And so that's the format in which we would go forward with that contract. Now, do we have a contract that's on contract, like a bidded out pre-award contract, or do we have just go out for bid?
There would be a procurement process for design services.
And they're not required to be bid.
Right.
But we would do a request for proposals, I'm assuming.
Right, for
Yeah.
qualifications, and then we would select a consultant based on the qualifications.
Right.
And then their fees would be determined by the document.
Right. And since we have our fire administration here, have y'all had any discussions with anyone to this point, or this is really kind of starting from ground zero?
We would like to start from ground zero because
Yeah.
this is such a big project. We
Right.
have been out to visit some of the other new fire stations in the area. We've talked to the designers.
Please
that
tell
have
me
been
y'all did
there.
not go to Mountain Brook.
We went to Trustful, Hoover, Mount Brook's got one, and we're actually going to a station design thing next month
nice.
in May to try to get ideas from all over
Okay.
so that we can work with Kel to build the right team. Because obviously it's a 30 to 50 year building. We want to make sure we do the right thing.
Right.
So we're using, we've used a lot of the architects in the past, but this would start from ground zero.
Got it. Okay.
Try to see who the best fit for the city is.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So I'm not sure, Mike, what the motion here is. Is there really a
I don't think
motion?
there's any action.
There's really no action to be taken. It's just knowing that,
Yeah, this is more a notification.
right, letting people know.
Yeah, basically, this is the very beginning of letting you know. Obviously, we've talked about a fire station for a few years now, or maybe even a lot of years now. And so this is really just the beginning of it, because one thing I want to do in the next budget is have us do a fire station, because
Yeah.
I think one is needed. I think we've reached a point where we've got to do one. So, so at any rate, there's nothing you need to do now. There will be more coming once we know more. This is just about getting the process started.
Yeah. Okay.
And bringing y'all into it.
All right. So I think probably we can just drop this item.
Motion to drop.
Because, yeah, thank you. Motion to drop from Mr. Waltney, second from Mr.
Second,
Brandt.
yep.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That will drop. Okay. Thank you for that. All right, 130325, request for consideration of miscellaneous surplus items coming to us from Blake Graves, our fleet maintenance director. We have that list, and there are some items actually from the fire department as well, I believe. Some furniture and things that we're surplusing, and I think those were added onto this as well.
Yes, just a lot of this leftover older tools that we were getting rid of, surplus, and it does not apply to our vehicles now. And on that list is 5 vehicles, parts no longer available, can't get them through the dealer, and it's a dealer item only part. So we're requesting to surplus all those vehicles.
Okay, so a bunch of Dodge Chargers and a couple of Rams.
They all have the same problem.
Okay, all right. So don't buy the Charger.
Can you send me the list?
Oh, here you can have mine if you want.
This is my
Okay. All right, so this would be an ordinance, and we would need a motion to approve the surplusing of the items as presented.
I'll make the motion to approve the surplus list.
All right.
Second.
All right, motion from Mr. Brandt, second from Mr. Gwaltney. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
3-0, that is approved. All right, 140325, request to fund change order for the City Hall and City Hall parking garage restoration project, coming to us from Mr. Pugh, and we have that as well.
Yes, as this project has progressed, some new areas of concern have sort of been identified. A couple of areas on the plaza. One of them, there's an active leak. They're gonna have to take out a whole square, see if they can find the leak, and then they'll have to put it back. Two areas up the front, gonna have to be where the parking areas has sunken up next to the plaza slab itself. That's gonna have to be pulled up and redone. So a couple of things like that that weren't in the original plan. Plus, some of the already identified repairs have sort of changed in scope. They're gonna require a little more attention than originally thought. So this change order represents everything. They sort of compiled it all into one.
Okay, and that total amount is?
Total amount,
Can you
Brian,
scroll?
can you go all the way down?
There we go,
There it is.
32,153.
32,150.
All right, and is because this was already an existing contract with,
Yes.
so is this just coming from contractual services?
Yes. It'll be coming from the same place where the other one was coming from.
Okay.
Which is like building repairs and
Okay,
maintenance.
oh, that's right, yes, City Hall building
City
repair,
Hall
yes, right,
repairs
yes.
and maintenance.
Okay, all right. Okay, so, that is before us. Can I get a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Right, motion from Mr. Gwaltney.
Second.
Second from Mr. Brandt. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That is 3-0 to approve that. Yes,
Just real quick.
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask.
So all those new things that were identified, those are captured in that cost
They're captured, yes.
already, so
Yes.
we're hoping there shouldn't be any more change
That's right,
orders on
yeah.
that.
That was kind of the idea, to put everything together into one final
Okay, thank you.
change order.
and do we have an estimated time when that, and what happened with the sewer leak that we were having? I assume that got
That was connected with one of the
ash,
apartments.
oh, it
Yeah,
was.
That was the
pump went out
The
on that.
condos,
Yeah, so,
wasn't us.
yeah.
we don't know anything about that.
Okay, well, I hope they got it.
They started working on the other one just to precaution too, so I'm assuming, I didn't follow up. but
Yeah.
I'm assuming if it needed repair, they would need it repaired.
Okay, good, that's good to know. Well, I'm glad it wasn't ours to fix, that's nice.
Counselor Smith,
yes.
if I may, hopefully this isn't too much out of turn, but I just, because we've had a number of discussions about parking in the garage, as it related to downtown and the maintenance of it, and just want to, as far as the resolution of that issue, which was not ours, also the elevator was out one day, but that was quickly addressed. Also, Berkeley's teams confirmed that they are picking up trash every weekday inside. So just want to reassure residents that the garage and its maintenance is a priority, that we're continuing to track it, and that we invite people to use it.
Yes, please,
So
use it.
thanks.
And I would like to add on, because we did have the police department go through and make sure, and several vehicles were ticketed, and I noticed a lot of those vehicles now are gone. There are still some of the vehicles that were there, but
Good.
Thank
That's
you.
great. Thank you. All right. Next item is 150325. Request for consideration for the city manager to sign an agreement with Employee Assistant Services, EAS, coming to us from J.J. Bischoff and Harold Parker, our drug program administrator. We also received this. We have previously been contracting with EAP. I had gotten confused and thought we already had a contract with EAS, but it's EAP. And we have to give them a 90-day notice of us changing. So that is why Mr. Bischoff is bringing, I can't find him. Oh, there he is. All right. Do y'all want to speak to this?
What we got? Dr. Lydia Clark has always been our counselor, one that we would send employees that may have some kind of drinking problem or something of that nature. Several years ago, she sold her company to Uprise, which is in California. And since that time, it's really created some problems for us as far as getting employees a psychological evaluation for the police department. They have to go through several steps, which bumps up the price of what we're getting, because Uprise doesn't do employee assisted as far as psychological evaluations. So we started searching to see what changed. And of course, I was brought in fact, I was one of the first employee assistance programs we started was under Mayor Walter. And that was with Hunter Copeland, Southside. And then we left them and went with Dr. Lydia Clark's business locally. Well, everything had been going good until she sold out, and she left that company, Uprise, started back this company, which is located right over the hill on Columbiana Green Springs Highway. We called them because getting somebody evaluated and getting that psychological evaluation for the police on pre-hire was very important. And so they gave us a quote to go with them. City of Vestavia schools, Mountain Brook schools, and Hoover schools all used Dr. Clark. Dr. Clark's a local. She lives in Homewood, so she's been very great for Homewood.
Okay, so
too.
this is the same person, just in a new company since she sold it.
Yeah,
Got
that's
it.
right.
Okay, got it. And I think it is a little bit more
10
expensive.
cents per employee, which would be $43.50 a year.
Okay.
But we will be getting more.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a lot more services that are provided.
Does that cover the pre-employment? Because we're paying out that separately now.
No, that will continue to be paid out separate, but it won't have the markup of going through two different companies.
Okay. All right, and then I have on the form that I have, it says that this is coming out of 01-14-575-600, which is a pre-employment assessments account. Does that sound correct to everybody?
I'm pretty sure I'll double check.
It's the same account that the drug testing is coming out of. Is that?
I'm not positive on that. I got away from finances 2009.
Lester, does that sound legitimate?
It's 04-14.
No, 01-14-575-600 is what I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, 01-14-575-600. Pre-employment assessments.
But it sounded like the pre-employment stuff is separate, that's not captured in what we're talking about.
But I think this is all, it's employment assistance. I think it's coming out of that.
The same line.
The same line, item,
Okay.
yes. All right.
I can let you know if that's fine.
Okay. All right. So it would be, the motion would be to approve Mr. Adams signing the agreement with EAS.
I'll make the motion.
All right.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Brandt, second from Mr. Gwaltney. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
3-0. That is approved. All right. 230325, request for consideration for the mayor to sign a service agreement with Tyler. It says, wait, should this be Mr. Adams as well?
For extensions of existing ones, we could stay with
The mayor, okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure I was saying the right thing, okay. So a request for the, consideration of the mayor to sign a service agreement with Tyler Technologies to increase user licensing for Mr. Pugh. This is, related to payments to the permit department and streamlining that process.
That's right, but because this product is, it'll be a citizens access portal, it'll be used by the fire department, the building inspections department, plan review, zoning, engineering. There's a number of users, and as the construction of the product has progressed, the number of expected users has kind of grown. So, we just asked for like a flat 20 users, and this represents the increase in the number of user licenses. And what they're going to allow us to do, because they're building the system custom for us, they want to go ahead and build it into the system and build it that way, but we will not have to pay for it until next budget year. So I'll be able to budget for this.
Okay.
I just need the mayor or
Initial.
the city manager.
Yeah, to sign
actually
the contract.
Sign it so they can move forward with the construction of it.
Okay, got it. And I think Mr. Segrist mentioned to me that this will also allow contractors who are coming in for permits to also do business licenses with y'all, so that they don't
Yes.
have to go to 2 different locations, which sounds super efficient.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we'll be able to do business licenses for the contractors that
Right.
come in now, rather than saying.
So y'all won't have to say, no, go downstairs
Go
first and then
downstairs,
come back
that's right.
upstairs, and, yeah, that sounds awesome. Okay, so this is not a money request at this point, it is just a motion to sign the agreement.
Motion for approval.
Okay?
Second.
Motion for Mr. Waltney, second for Mr. Brandt. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That is approved. And our final item is 240325, request permission to consider property issue at 1832 25th Court South from Mr. Smith. Wow, this is an issue.
Yeah,
Never
is
heard of this one.
you must be Kelly. So Kelly is the real estate agent. Jody Brandt called me on this as soon as he figured out what had happened. So this is, the Lee Center is over here, and this is at the corner of 25th Court and 19th Street. The house was built, constructed on the city property, 11 feet into the city property. So they figured this out in closing when they got the final survey, and they have come to us and asked what we wanted to do about it.
Because I'm assuming y'all haven't been able to close,
We
right?
have not been able to close. It's under contract, and I represent the seller. So, obviously it's in his dire interest to get this taken care of,
Yeah.
because, obviously if it is not able to be remedied, he has a non-sellable property.
Right. Okay, and now I'm going to turn to my favorite person, who is Mike Kendrick, because I don't understand how legally we remedy this.
I couldn't tell you. Well, you can remedy it by giving them an easement or selling the property.
Well, I mean, but we don't really want to sell them our property. I mean, I don't personally. I'm just saying.
Well,
Can you do a permanent easement?
You could do an easement, I think Kelly's office had suggested one option would be an easement for the life of this structure. If the structure is demolished or whatever, the easement would terminate.
Okay.
You
That's
can
what we
sell the property
suggested.
or you could do a permanent easement.
I talked to Kelly about that earlier, and she doesn't like that idea.
Well, I am here just, as a real estate agent, I will tell you, it will be a non-sellable property. He will be stuck with a property that is, no buyer is going to take on that responsibility of, ultimately they'll own a home that they don't own the land.
I mean, I understand that, but that's also our property, and we have very little of that in Homewood. So I personally don't love the idea of selling property that we own, and listen, I know this probably happened, I don't know when this house was built, but it probably happened a long time ago, and
So that would be the question that would come next, because what would the owner do? He would then, I would imagine, litigate, the issue. I would, if it were me. And, because he has a property that was built, I would imagine, before, the official plat map. I don't know. I don't know what came first.
I was
talking
about to say, do
this
we know when the house was constructed?
Yeah, it was built.
It's an old house.
Yeah, it is.
so what would be, why can't we just make a price and sell it to the children? I know you say it's city property, but it's not used.
Oh, I agree, but
It
it's
wouldn't
also,
affect the value of the lease center at all. I just know you can't get clear title from my mortgage background.
yes.
Is there, does the buyer have plans for the property?
It's a first-time home buyer, wanting to move to Homewood, and their budget, is very restrictive of any, other areas. But her parents are very involved and said, that if they can't, get clear title, a mortgage company's not gonna, give them a mortgage on this.
I understand,
property.
but my thoughts are if she's planning on any kind of construction.
This
Okay.
is, ultimately she wants to move in it as is and, live there and live
It's been
happy.
renovated.
It has
Okay.
been renovated. It has been,
And
yeah.
so if the seller is not interested in help me.
The
Easement.
You can't get a mortgage with the easement.
Right.
It's not gonna happen.
So, okay,
So
so,
then we don't have a buyer, and then you've got a seller that's stuck with a property, and I don't know what his next steps would look like. He would then he doesn't live in the state of
When did that
Alabama.
buyer buy?
Yeah.
Say it again.
When did the
He is a cash buyer. So it is a very unfortunate set of circumstances. He was the
Sold in January.
hard money lender for a buyer that bought to buy, rehab it, and sell it. That guy walked away from the project halfway done. It was just one of the worst remodels I've ever seen. So I came in, it had been on the market for a while, and I was the second listing agent. I made a ton of recommendations. He has spent a significant amount of money over there since he took it back over at my recommendation of just getting it marketable. And then, we put it on the market and got it under contract. You don't typically order a survey, when you list a property, and so he had not had a survey obtained when he, paid cash for the property. And then, so now.
Because he didn't have a mortgage, so
Right.
he had no reason to.
so,
So, I mean, what's a reasonable price for that slice of
It's
land?
right there. It
So
says it
that's
right
the
there.
assessed value, is what we could sell it to them for, is that $7,000.
And for on the record, this is why Rosedale has problems in real estate. Because there's never been things done, it's all been handshake stuff. I think this would be the first peg in the hole to kind of start squaring stuff up and get good legal descriptions. If that historic neighborhood or whatever is to become, a valuable
That
asset.
was gonna be my question.
I mean,
is that-
this is the first step.
Well,
To
just
get a
that-
good, clear title on a property with a sale.
There potentially are other pieces of property, I don't know this, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were other pieces of property over there. But this has been sitting here trying to be sold for a few years.
It's sold in January.
And, but it
It
sold
didn't-
prior to that, a couple of years ago prior to that, and as she said, it was not remodeled well. And this area really needs good homeowners who want to be there to help grow the neighborhood and bring some new people in and some new life in. And I think I personally would support allowing that to happen in a way that would be beneficial to somebody willing to buy there and invest there.
I see the mayor standing up, so I'm gonna let you talk about it for a second.
So I'm sympathetic to what's going on here, but first I want to be clear that the city didn't do this.
No.
Secondly, I'm concerned about looking at this by itself. Approving this by itself, I guess is a better way to say it. Because there may be others. And once we do it for one, then everyone that pops up, we're selling or giving away land, and some of it may be land that we want.
We may
And
want this land at some
Right,
point.
and we may want this land, but to the extent people don't want this land, may come up again with land that the city does have a designated use for. I would also ask this question. I assume this right-of-way runs beyond, there's a linear line beyond this property.
It's kind of a dead end back there.
What's the neighboring property? Does that extend?
No, so the lease center
It's the playground for the.
wraps around.
it wraps around.
It wraps around and comes out on 19th Street.
That's city land behind it.
Got it. So it's on a corner on this side and the back
And that's
side's
like
the
a dead
lease center.
end.
Correct.
So the lease center's like an L shape.
Right.
Yes.
And that's a street down at the bottom
And
of
this
the
is the
street.
street down the.
So it's on a corner.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
and the street that runs along the side is a dead end.
And when I looked this up and on my
Yeah,
maps,
Brian, can you do
it says
that?
1830 as the front line.
I didn't know exactly where.
And
Where's
eight-
It's
1832.
over
Turn
here.
around.
It's the far end of
Yeah,
it.
on the other end,
Straight
past
down.
the center.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
That's the house, right?
Whoops, no.
To the left.
Keep going
to the left.
Turning, panning.
Turning.
Yeah,
Keep
yeah.
Keep going.
There we
Right
go.
That was pre-remodel,
So-
and it didn't sell, and what you're seeing from that title change from January was where he foreclosed on the guy that tried to remodel it. So, same owner has
So
had
is
it.
that 1830 or 1832 right there on the corner?
32 is on the corner, 30 is the next lot in. Way Center is 1828.
But that's definitely the house.
Yeah.
And behind,
Don't look at it.
well, that's not what my.
Yeah, because there's the parking lot for the Lee Center right here.
So basically, what's in question is there's a power line through the yellow things coming into the ground.
Yeah.
That's the land you're talking about. You
Right
have a fence
adjacent.
there.
Right, this retaining wall shows up on the survey, so if the property gets sold, it would come out beyond this retaining wall.
So literally right behind the fence.
Does the current fence sit on where they're,
That's what I don't know what is on the Lee Center property because we don't have a survey of the Lee Center property.
I mean, I'm very much on Alex's, in the same vein, and I said it at the beginning, I am not in favor of selling city property that I think it's a bad precedent to set, in my personal opinion.
As a devil's advocate, what happens to the house if you
That's
don't-
right. So would the city of Homewood want to purchase this property from the man that is now not able to sell the property?
haven't we sold city property, over in Hollywood a couple of months ago? And haven't we sold city property?
We have done it before, and in very specific circumstances where there's no other surrounding issues. And I think the problem here is, we don't know that there's not other situations that would pop up in other places in Rosedale. I mean, I personally, and listen, I'm not a big fan of voting for selling property anyway. I would never, I don't like to do it, I just don't. And I mean, that's just where I am. I don't prevent anybody else from saying something, the opposite opinion, but my opinion is I think that's kind of.
So then what narrative are you giving to your future homeowners that are able to purchase in Rosedale but can't because of, title encumbrances such as this? What are we telling people that want to spend their money in Rosedale?
Again,
Well,
I can't, we're not
there's also the
responsible for
opposite question of, what are we telling people who build over the property line?
Right.
Yeah, no, this gentleman, I mean.
I
this house was
understand,
built
but the
in
house
1920.
was built over the property
Sure.
line. I'm not blaming this
Yeah.
person. I know that he didn't build it. I know that there may be sellers in between that didn't build it. But
was
from the
built in
city's
1920.
perspective, building over a property line is a pretty big deal. And just taking land is a pretty big deal.
So then what is the solution? You've got a house that was built on the city's property, and so now what does the city of Homewood do about it?
That's what we're deciding.
Well, and I have another question.
well,
Was it the city of Rosedale initially when it was built that way? And we brought the city of Rosedale in.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it's.
So we brought the city of Rosedale in as it was. Couldn't that be grandfathered in?
I don't know when the building was built.
In the,
Well, that house
it's
gotta
an
be in the
original
40s.
structure.
I don't know how the city would take the land to make it right away if a building's already on it, is my issue.
I don't want to throw
I don't know
a
how that
wrench
would
in
ever
this
happen.
discussion,
Yes,
but
please.
we can't sell property that's been dedicated for park purposes without an election. So if we're selling them any property that's crossed over that line where we're using it for park property, we can't sell that without election. If it's dedicated for park purposes.
Any part of the property
I think
for.
the fence line pretty much defines we've used it.
What is it zoned? Anybody know that?
The
It was
corner
a-
is zoned NPD, and it was rezoned in the past 5 years to
How did it get rezoned without?
NPD. Without a survey.
The survey.
That's a good question. I don't know
Without
the
a
reason.
survey, it was redone?
No, that doesn't seem right.
It's
But-
in the legal description.
I was about to say, we would have had to have a legal description in order to rezone it.
I'm saying is if you're gonna sell any of it, you can only sell that part that's not been dedicated for park purposes. So it'd be the fence line would be the demarcation that you could sell without some additional.
It was built in 1920.
1920, which was.
So the house was there
before.
first.
Yeah, the house was there first, but
The house was there first, what?
it was built in
Oh,
1920.
you mean before the lease?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree, but not necessarily before the right of way.
So it's a right of way or is it?
No, it's property.
It's our
It's not.
property.
It's not right.
Not a right of way, it's our property. It belongs to the city. I mean,
It's a tough
it is, like I said to Kale earlier, this is a giant mess.
Well, I think,
There are two options.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I get the logic behind this one, and look, I don't have a vote on it, so, I get the logic to this one. I just think we need to be careful about how we do this, because this, to everyone's point, this could come up a lot. And it could be difficult. And secondly, we need to figure out exactly what we could sell, if anything, without an election.
You can sell any parts not been dedicated for park property.
Right, but that's what,
So I think the fence.
the
pretty
fence
much
is
sits out where you can sell.
everything on the other side of the fence?
Yeah, I think you can make an argument that would be permitted.
And we don't know where the fence is in reference to the house, because we don't have survey of the.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we've got to figure that out, we've got to figure that out.
I mean, to me, that requires, Berkeley, doesn't that mean we need, is there an existing survey of the lease in it?
There used to be, but I don't know if it's still.
Legit?
I mean, we've always utilized the fence in my 17 years as the line. But I'll say this, even back in 2010, I think there was some discrepancy back then about where the line was from the previous people that owned it back then. Because they said we were putting a fence on their property, but according to the.
No, unfortunately, their house was on our property.
It's our property, so.
We weren't putting nothing on their property. Lots of things on our property.
It looks like that the attempt has been to convey a portion that would square up the setbacks, side setbacks, which would like to be would encompass some of the park property that we use to park.
Which you're saying is.
Yeah, I mean, I just know.
The blue line looks like to me is what you could sell if you want to.
Right, the blue line was drawn by somebody else. I'm the one that drew this rectangle, the hatch.
Yeah, if that rectangle is.
It's too far over.
Fence, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
We'd have problems about that.
Right, because you're saying, Kale, you're saying that the retaining wall is essentially the property line, correct?
I think what Mike's saying is that line with the X is the fence.
Right.
And that it looked like they were trying to get the whole sliver.
But so anything in this portion could not be conveyed.
Here, can I just?
Yes.
We don't know.
Right.
Because we don't have a survey.
Right, we've got to get a survey.
Why are we?
Yeah, we've got to get a survey.
Until we have the survey, I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we've got to get a survey.
Because we got to know where.
The line's
if we're even considering this, we have to know where that line is so we know what we can sell and what we can't without an election, right? I mean, isn't that a threshold question we need to answer
Yeah, we've
before
got to
we
get the
get
survey.
to the rest of it?
Yes, which is why I mean, I think Berkeley, the first is to see if we do have a survey, an existing survey.
Yeah, I'll look back.
And if we don't, I mean, we're gonna have to get somebody to come out and do it.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to get one done.
The problem with the blue was that if we did sell the blue, then it would make their house non-conforming.
I understand, but that's what I'm saying is, don't we need to know where that line is so we can know, are we approving something that's non-conforming or not? I just don't know how we get to the next step without knowing where that line is.
And I just have a parallel question too then. If, say, there was a desire in the interim for the owner to lease to potential home buyer, would there need to be an easement temporarily granted for that lease to be legal, or would that be
I don't think we can do any of that, because she's talking about the person is wanting to buy the house, and you
Okay.
can't get approved for a mortgage with this situation existing.
Yeah.
So-
And that's what I meant, other than like rent type. I just wondered if we would need to do anything legally from that aspect if they had to pause on us for this. I just wanted to
I guess
ask
the
that.
way I would answer that question, unless Mr. Kendrick has a different thought, is someone can use that property right now as consistent with NPD.
Yeah.
And I would think that would be consistent with NPD.
Okay.
So this is a difficult question to resolve eventually, but I mean, in the interim, it's obviously NPD and being theoretically
such.
used as an NPD lot, so I think it could, whatever those uses are, I think that would still be, it
Okay.
would include renting it out.
It's just a non-conforming use.
Yeah.
And it might be grandfathered. I don't know when it was built and what the setbacks were then at the time.
Right.
I think we have a lot of figuring out
We do.
yeah, to do before we make any kind of decision. And I assume if, I can't remember, when we do these, do we have to have a public hearing? No, we don't have to have a public hearing on this. Okay, so I think we need to see if we have an existing survey. If we don't have an existing survey, we need to order a survey be done. And then we need to carry this over until such time as we can get all the answers to the questions that we need to get, before we can make a decision that makes any sort of sense.
And if Berkeley, yeah, that's fine.
And what was the trigger on this? Like, how did we?
We were supposed to close last month on this property for the new buyer, and she is going to be homeless in just about 10 days, so.
That's the reason they got the survey, because she was trying to close on it, on the sale. Yeah.
So we're carrying this item over?
Yes, we're carrying it over. Yes, because we have a lot of things to pick up.
Kelly, maybe talking to the guy will lease it to her until we get this rectified, to sell it to your client.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Because basically, so what's the motion to
there
push
is,
it forward?
there's no motion, there is a carryover until we figure out what's going on. And that is the answer. All right, with, no further items on our agenda, we are adjourned. Have everybody's stuff. Here,
Can't
hand
get,
me
you
that.
can't get a mortgage?
I don't know why, but there it is.
No, not this one, no. but On the other ones, yeah.
Don't even get me started.
You good? Oh,
Yes, sir. Let's go.
there's a church for sale now. They can't.
Public Safety Committee meeting for April 7, 2025. Councilor Walton,
Here.
Wolverton,
Here.
Brandt,
Here.
Here.
Nelms, and Harden's out. So you got 4.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to dispense the reading and approve of the minutes from the Public Safety Committee meeting on March 17th. A motion by Councilor Wolverton,
Second.
second by Councilor Brandt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 4-0. No items under old business, new business, 160325. Request for consideration of an ordinance to prohibit parking on the west side of Mamie Foster 18th Place between 28th Avenue and 27th Avenue. Coming to us from traffic, Mr. Hambley.
Yes, this is the little street that runs down behind the Valley Hotel and Rocky Scott's. And, problem we're having is parking on both sides.
Yeah.
I've gotten complaints, JJ's gotten complaints. I went out there and measured it. The street's 24 feet wide, and if you get 2 full-size vehicles, it gives you about a 10-foot area to pass through. So you got an issue with cars meeting head-on.
You're on it.
You're on it.
That's it. There it is.
This 27.
Also, it makes it hard for a fire truck to get through there.
Turn to the right.
Right.
That.
It's both
And
directions.
all the way
yeah.
down.
But aren't the curbs on both?
There
they're all
are
yellow.
some areas of
Oh.
curb already
Especially
painted
the one
yellow,
right there.
but the parts that aren't painted yellow is where we're having the issues at.
Okay.
So you're just gonna make it on one side of the street?
One side of
Yeah,
the
just
street.
paint it yellow all the way down.
Right.
I will tell you that, you know, I used to work at Resolute Running Training Center, and they have shared their complaints
Yeah.
for quite a while. So,
Well, that's a no, right? I mean, we gotta have it for fire safety, so I'll make the
You
motion.
gotta be able to drive through it.
All right, we have a motion from Councilor Brandt.
So which side is it going to restrict?
West side.
Say the west side of the park.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Brandt,
Second.
second by Councilor Wolverton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 4-0. Can I get a motion from someone to take 010121 off the table to drop it? Okay, we have a motion to take 010121 off the table by Counselor Wolverton. Second?
Where'd Kale go?
We're just gonna drop it.
Drop it, we're gonna drop it down. Okay, I'll do a second.
It's from last term. It's useless. At this point. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it 4-0. This was an item from previous term related to, well, I guess technically this term. No, previous term. It was with Kimley Horn to do some assessments that we have pretty much covered with other items, so we're just basically dropping this item. So I'd entertain a motion to drop. Okay, Councilor Overton and Councilor Brandt. Motion to drop 010121. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it 4-0. That motion is dropped, and with that, public safety is adjourned.
You ready?
I am, yeah.
Planning and Development Committee meeting for April 7th, 2025. Counselor Andrews.
Here.
Walden.
Here.
Wolverton. Here. Sims. Here. Nelms.
Here.
Full house.
All right, great. All present. I will begin with a motion to dismiss the reading and approve the minutes from our last meeting of March 17th.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion from Counselor Nelms, second from Counselor Gwaltney. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes 5-0. Old business 120225, request for consideration of rezone property at 101 to 109 Hughes Circle. And 130225, request for consideration of a final development plan for property at 101 to 109 Hughes Circle. Brought to us from Mr. Smith. We are going to continue to carry that over, but we think we're getting close, right, Kale, on these two items? I know you spoke with John.
He said that he's making progress.
Okay.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, you may, please.
1202 and 1302 are separate items, but they're in one ordinance. Because you can't have, if you approve the rezoning, you gotta have the final development plan, which has gotta be approved simultaneously. So when you get to these, assuming you do, they'll be treated in one ordinance.
Okay. All right. We're making progress, but I'm getting close to wanting to move to the table. I told Kale, so I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's wait one more round of 2 weeks, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, new business, 170325, request for consideration of de-annexation of 310 Happy Lane. Mr. Segrist?
Yes, is,
Okay.
just more, yes, sir. She would just introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Bill
Sign
Mulkey,
in.
how you doing?
Yeah,
Nice to
good.
meet y'all. I bought this land 23 years ago, okay, with the intent to develop the property. Everything around us is Jefferson County, zoned R1. You got Happy Lane coming down here. And the intent was, I got the zoning into Homewood, or annexation in Homewood, and to develop some garden home lots, all right? Problem is that I had 3 adjacent landowners at the time. I had Gonzalez Strength do all the civil engineering, all the surveying work. All I needed simply was some temporary grading easements and slope easements, because I was gonna pay for a new road to county specs. These folks held me hostage. I couldn't pay the price that they wanted. So I haven't been able to do anything with this property. Okay, I've held it for a long time. I came to planning and zoning, I guess 2 or 3 months ago, with an idea that, well, maybe we could create a new estate lots, and I could do 3 to 5, 2 to 3 acre lots. The problem there again is that this road right here doesn't meet what the fire marshal needs for access. Okay, the road's not that wide. So because I can't get fire protection, I can't do anything with the property. All right? So real simple, all I want to do is de-annex out. I wanna go back to the county, which is where it was in the county, okay? And I can get fire protection for one single-family home. So since you guys will not provide me any fire protection, because all this area right here and all those homes have fire protection from another source. And that's all I wanna do.
Okay.
There's no development plans for it. Sometime in the future, someone's gonna assemble all this land, because it's about 50, 55 acres. Maybe Signature owns, maybe someone's gonna come in the future and look at assembling the whole property and annexing in, I would, into Homewood. Problem is, this road is almost a half mile from here to here. I can't afford to eat that cost. Okay? It doesn't make sense, doesn't make economic sense, period.
Okay, I'd make a motion for approval of the de-annexation of 310 Happy Lane.
Second. Okay, I have a motion from Counselor Gwaltney and a second from Counselor Nelms. All those in favor?
Aye.
You know, let me tell you what,
That's- yeah.
we have to have an ordinance, and I need a legal description of the property.
I'll get it to you, Mike.
And is there a public hearing involved, Mr. Kendrick, or just it goes out to
You know,
council?
we've never de-annexed any property.
I know, exactly, okay.
There's technically not a legal requirement for annexation or de-annexation, because it's not surrounded by any other municipality.
Right.
Okay, okay. All right. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Well, so the vote was, everyone, aye?
Aye.
Yeah, I didn't vote. I was just wanting to ask questions, but yeah.
Okay.
I think I was the only one that
Mike, I'll get you that legal description.
Yeah,
Okay, that's 5-0. It was Gwaltney Nelms.
No.
I have to create an ordinance, we don't have one.
Okay, that's out.
Thank you all.
Council. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I got that. Okay. Next item, 180325, request for consideration of an amended development plan for property at 579, 598, and 701 Brookwood Village to permit proposed renovation and conversion of the former Belk Department Store building into a medical office building that would house the Andrews Sports Medicine Orthopedic Center. Shoal Engineering Company is the applicant, the owner FPL Brookwood LP. The Planning Commission, we saw this back, I believe, in January, and we had a favorable recommendation vote of 6-2 to 1. I know the folks are here. And did we set the public hearing last week at council, or?
We did.
We did,
I think
okay,
so,
great.
yeah.
And that was set for the 28th, right?
28th.
April 28th. Okay, so does anyone want to make a presentation? Paul?
Sure, I'll start us off.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul Darden, I represent the owner of Brookwood Village, Fairway, Pope and Land. Excited to be here tonight. Thank you all for having us. We're excited, as Andrews, as we said, is here for proposed renovation and conversion of the current Belk department store at Brookwood Village. They're going to run you through a presentation. We're excited about this. This is really the prospect of kicking off the overall redevelopment. A lot of collaboration has been going on to date. We're excited about more, and over the course of the year with everyone as to what the rest of those plans are, and collaborating with all the stakeholders. We think this is a great way for us to really kind of kick off this redevelopment and make it another vibrant place that we all in the community enjoy and will once again visit. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Andrews team.
Good evening, everybody. My name is David Ransom. I'm with Hammis, representing Hammis Partners. We're the project developer, and I have Rich Campbell with Veritas, who's representing the tenant, which is Andrews Sports Medicine. So we have a little presentation to run you guys through tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions that we have. So if you would, I don't know who's controlling that.
Brian, back in the back.
You've already been introduced to Paul from Fairway Pope and Land as the campus developer. Again, my name is David Ransom, representing the project developer and landlord Hammis Partners. We have Veritas Medical Real Estate, who's representing the tenant, and then we have Andrews Sports Medicine, who is obviously the tenant in this particular endeavor here. The purpose of the meeting tonight is to discuss the proposed redevelopment plan, and as well as to answer any questions that you all may have. So the existing Brookwood Village site here, and we've highlighted the buildings in yellow. So this is the Belk building, the existing Belk building, a two-story building that's approximately 100, little over 100,000 square feet, and then an existing garage and mall condition here. So there's there's a two-story mall in here, and then there's garage levels below that. Next one, please. So we're proposing to develop a approximately 147,000 square feet on a property on 3.377 acres, which will be comprised of a 132,000 square foot building, which is subdivided into 29,000, give or take a few square feet of new construction, as well as 102,000 square feet of renovated construction. The areas in the red here are the new construction. So the blue is the existing bulk building that you see here, and then we're adding approximately 29,500 square feet, 2 stories to the south here, and then 1 story that is coming into the mall area itself on the second level of the mall, and then a little bit out here to the east on the second story of the mall here. So we're proposing and we're planning on starting construction in July of this year, and then we would see substantial completion in December of 2026, and then we would anticipate first patient in March of 2027. So this right here will give you an idea of the whole parking situation from both the overall parking from a surface perspective, as well as to how the building is subdivided from a sectional perspective. So we have parking for 625 cars total, and level 0 is this level down here, and this is going to have 113 cars, which will house clinic and staff, or clinical staff, as well as valet. Then we have level 5, which you see here is in the kind of the pink area here, which will have 118 stalls, which will again house clinic patients and visitors. Then you have level 15, which is the green level here, and that will house 146 cars, again, clinic patient and visitors. And then you have level 25, which is the existing mall level that we are going to convert into a parking garage, and that will house 86 cars for ASC patients and visitors. And then we have a total of 105 surface spaces that you would see kind of in the gray area that are going to be on the same level as level 25. And then the west garage over here, we're executing an agreement with the Fairway Pope and Land, the ownership team, to lease 57 spaces over there for the physicians. So as you can see here, this is the bulk building that's being redone. So level 25 is the surgery center, and level 10 is the clinic. And as you can see, we have primary entrances to the clinic and both to the clinic area on this side of the building, on the north side of the building, and then on the surgery center, which is up the hill, we have coming from the back side of the building into the surgery center at this level here, the same as level 25. So to kind of run you all through the scope of the project itself, so the floor plan, the ground level clinic, we have 12 clinical pods with 60 exam rooms. They will see a combination of general orthopedic, hand, foot, and ankle specialties, as well as pain management. Also within the clinic, you'll see 2 procedure rooms, which include prep and recovery, 2 MRI suites, 6 x-ray rooms, pharmacy, durable medical equipment, physical and occupational therapy in this area over here. And then you will see a waiting area for approximately 203 people here. Again, it's accessed from the inside here from the garage. And then, of course, administrative space, staff support, break room lockers, and then building support, which happens on the south side of the building. The surgery center itself sits on the second floor as outlined above, and you'll have 18 operating rooms. You'll see that in the green here. You'll have 3 procedure rooms, which is in this gray area here. And then you have 3 preoperative and PACU pods, which are in the blue areas here. And so you have a total of 17 beds per pod, which is 51 beds total. And then within that we have 5 private beds. We have on-site sterile processing here for instrumentation and sterilization over here in the pink area here. Reception and waiting, which again occurs at the upper level that you saw in the section earlier for approximately 118 people, small cafe. And then of course we have administrative space, staff support, building support, etc. that you see happening in this area here as well as on the back side of the building.
Is it going, the 51 beds, is there going to be an inpatient component?
There is no inpatient. It's all outpatient.
Okay, so 51 beds is all designed
Right.
to
It's
be-
just the beds for post-operative and pre-operative care.
And I'm assuming that something goes awry, they end up going out to a neighboring hospital or somewhere else?
Yes, they have transfer agreements in place. These are 2 of the renderings here. You're seeing this one from kind of what would be the northeast. So as you come in, and this is the side of the Belt Building on the office building side. This is the north side of the building here, and then you see kind of the corresponding look the other way. As you can see, it's a very nicely designed structure. Those are a combination of metal panels, cementitious panels. It's in keeping with the branding that the Andrews Sports Medicine team has sought. We're extremely excited to be involved in this endeavor, and I'm happy to answer any additional questions you may have.
Is the developer you're purchasing this property?
Yes, sir.
So you're buying everything other than the 54 parking places there?
So we're buying, if you would go back a few slides, we're buying
The footprint.
go back out to the next one, I'm sorry.
What are you
We're buying,
leasing the parking?
we're buying essentially what you see here in the yellow
Yeah.
in the areas here. Up to there's an expansion joint that exists in here, and we're buying up to that expansion.
So the additional parking is what, east?
Well, we've got some parking that is also going to be on the other side of the property line. It's going to be on FP&L that we're going to be executing a reciprocal easement agreement with. If that answers your question. If you want to go back to this section, I can help you understand that. So this is the property line. So we're buying everything to the right of the line, and then everything to the left of the line is going to be through a reciprocal easement agreement, parking agreement with the Fairway Pub and Land team.
And they currently own all of the property?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm curious from Councilor Andrus about the couple of dissenting votes, what that might have been about, or
Honestly, it's
Do you
been so
remember?
long that I don't remember. I do remember there was a lot of discussion about wanting, I don't remember, I know there was someone from the audience and I don't know if it was the other commissioners wanted to see like the full plan of the whole piece of property versus just a parcel of it.
Right.
That may have been it. I think we had one commissioner who works for UAB maybe that abstained, but it's been so long, honestly, Melanie, I really don't remember. Somebody else asked me that and I really didn't remember.
Okay.
Do you remember, Paul?
I think
Remember,
it was.
Rich?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
right?
seems like-
Okay,
Yeah.
they wanted to see like a
Extension
full.
for UAB employment.
Okay, and then the two were really more, they wanted something just sort of
Yeah,
holistic.
more, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that's what it was.
Okay.
So the proper motion then, with, if no more questions, which anyone's
Just,
welcome, but.
I guess
go
one
ahead.
more clarifying
Yep.
on the parking. So the viability, obviously, you mentioned the parking to the left here is for staff. It sounds like you guys are moving forward with the agreement for reciprocal shared parking. So I guess that was just the clarification. There's not something that would stop it from moving forward if that didn't take place, the parking that's not owned, I guess.
It's all interwoven.
I understand, well, I mean, simply that parking would have to be part of the approval. So the Fairway could
I guess
not
that's where I was
do away
trying.
with that parking without interfering,
Because it's part of the development.
not without impacting us.
Right, yes.
Okay.
It would always be, right, they have a parking requirement.
Right.
That we would meet that parking requirement, yes.
Whatever you do with the rest of your property, Fairway's property, you'll have to leave that parking as is, based on this agreement, as I understand it, right?
Yes, based on the current agreement, yes, that's right.
Okay.
Okay, I'd make a motion for approval without recommendation pending the public hearing on April 28th. 6 p.m.
All right, motion from Councilor Gwaltney, second from Councilor Nelms. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes 5-0, and we will see you all on April 28th at 6 o'clock. Thanks, guys. And without any objection, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.